Hey everyone, Charles Stevens here with this week's Words of Wisdom. As we continue this series on becoming a leader worth following during National Women's History Month, this week's focus is on a quality every leader must develop: courage. Because leadership will eventually ask you to make a decision that is difficult, unpopular, or uncomfortable. Rosa Parks once said, "You must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right." When Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus in 1955, she didn't know the ripple effect her decision would create. What she did know was that the moment required courage. And it's the same when it comes to leadership. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that doing what is right matters more than being comfortable. I think back to a time during my years as a principal when we were working through a school name change. As part of that transition, a committee was formed to recommend options for our new mascot and school colors. After a thoughtful discussion, the committee presented two options for students and staff to vote on. One option kept the original school colors, which many alumni strongly favored. The second option introduced a new look, mainly replacing the traditional navy blue with purple, while keeping orange as a common color in both options. When the votes were counted, the option that included purple was selected. It wasn't the choice many alumni hoped for, and I understood their passion for tradition. But leadership required honoring the process we had established and respecting the voice of the school community. That moment reminded me that leadership often requires the courage to stand by a fair decision, even when it's not the easiest one to defend. And that's when I learned something important. Leadership isn't tested when the decisions are easy. Leadership is revealed when decisions are hard. Scripture also reminds us in Joshua 1:9, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Courage doesn't come from knowing everything will work out perfectly. Courage comes from knowing you're standing on what is right and trusting God with the outcome. If you want to become a leader worth following, you must develop the courage to speak truth when it's uncomfortable, make decisions when others hesitate, and stand firm when values are tested. Because people don't just follow leaders who are capable, they follow leaders who are courageous. So here's a question and a challenge for you this week. Where might courage be required in your leadership right now? Is there a conversation you've been avoiding, a decision you've been delaying, a stand you know you need to take? Ask God for the courage to take that next step. And if you're committed to growing as a leader from the inside out, I'd be honored to walk alongside you. Leadership growth is a journey, and sometimes the hardest steps are the ones we take together. Because becoming a leader worth following requires character and it requires courage. And courage begins with one faithful decision at a time. That's all for this week's Words of Wisdom. Next week, this series will focus on consistency. Have a great week.